Welcome to part 3 of the widget tutorial in Unreal Engine 5, and today we're going to be going more in depth on the emitter settings and adding a first-person camera. Alright, so when we press play, what this is going to look like is it goes to our first-person camera first, because we created that. Obviously, you can tweak the settings around to make it look better, because you can literally see your body when you move the camera around. But when you press V again, when you press V for the first time, it goes to the third-person camera. Press V again, it goes to the first. You can add a toggle if you want. And since I start in my first person camera, if I go through that invisible box or this one, it will switch from my first person to my third person camera, like some games do, like GTA, I'm pretty sure does it. Like that. It switches from our first to our third person. And even when we're in our third person, when we switch to it, it stays in our third person camera when we die. And you can see that ragdoll a lot better. Now obviously, I show you this in the video as well. If you like, this doesn't look that realistic. You don't see the head moving around too much. I mean, he does a little bit. So before you enable on the first person camera the rotation, which I'll show you how to do all this and stuff. Before you enable that, it gives you this really cool effect when you walk. I'm using my keys to move around the camera. I'm not using my mouse at all, but it gives this like realistic looking effect. Besides when you turn the screen, obviously that looks weird. But when you're walking, like, this mechanics are so weird. But when you're walking, it looks pretty realistic, to be honest. So yeah. But if you want to actually use your camera and move around, you have to enable that. But yeah, that's how you do all that. And then I also show you guys how to create a custom cursor, which is very simple. As you can see, it's custom, my cursor. And that's it. Alright, so now let's say we want to switch between our first and third person camera. Because a lot of games have like a third and first person option to switch between. So like when you press V, it switches from first to third or third to first. And obviously you can do like a toggle as well. But let's just say we want to auto activate our first camera, not our second one that is auto activated. So first we have to go into our third person character, go to our viewport, add a new camera, and I'm just going to call this FPP cam for first person perspective camera. Edit this one to TPP cam for third person perspective. Now, you could get a camera boom and attach it to first person character. Or I'm sorry, a spring arm and attach it to the first person character. And you can enable lag, which, you know, if you want like a lag effect for your camera, to lag like behind the character, like catch up to the character is what I mean. But I'm not gonna do that. That's fine. So now let's just place this camera up here and then attach it to the mesh, and then look up head so that it attaches to the head. We're gonna have to bring it back, and then I'm gonna rotate it 90 degrees, and then just bring it out a little bit more. That's good. And now we need to like auto activate it. So when we press play, it still is in our third person perspective. We're not in our first. Let's say we want to be in our first. So to do that, you click on your camera, you go to auto activate, and you make sure that it's checked, and then you go back to your third person perspective camera and you uncheck that. So now it is our first person camera that will be showing. Now it gives this cool looking effect. I'm not using my mouse right now. These are only my keys to move the camera. So if you really want to do that, like if you really want to use your mouse to move around the camera, what you'll have to do is go in here and then look up rotation, edit this, and obviously make sure you have something that is along the lines of this code or blueprints, so that you can now rotate the camera when you move. Obviously, you need to touch up some stuff because you can see your player. You don't want that. You're gonna want him to like automatically move with your camera once he gets to a certain spot. You can make it how realistic you want, obviously, but like this doesn't look realistic because I can see my own player. And it gets rid of that cool looking realistic first person effect. So yeah, you're just gonna need to like touch around with some settings to make it like if you really like this kind of look, like when the player's shoot, it's hard to move. When the player's walking, if you like that effect, that realistic looking effect, you're just gonna have to mess around with some settings and stuff. But I'm just gonna keep it on the rotation just for now. I just for an example, that's good. So now let's say we want to switch between our first person perspective camera and our third person perspective camera. To do that, I don't really need this main menu screen open. Go back to your third person character, and what you'll need to do is go to the project settings, and we're going to create a new action mapping that switches between our cameras. So I'll just say switch view. You can call it whatever you want, and then I'll just press V, for example. Most games use V. V can also be used in Melee. Those are the two main things that you can use the V key for most games. So yeah, let's just call our switch view, and then up here we're gonna want to say well, we're gonna get a branch. We're gonna drag out our first person, or I mean, sorry, our first person camera. We're gonna say is active, attached to the condition, and we're gonna say is active, or set active. First person camera. Actually, yeah. There we go. It's hidden behind the branch. We'll say that it is the new active. And then we'll just copy this, connect it back there, and we'll say this is not the new active. When we switch back, when we press a V again for the second time, we'll just copy this again. We'll get rid of the first person and we'll add in the third person camera. And I'll make sure that the new active is selected when we press it again. So when we press V once, it selects the first person camera. When you press it again, it deselects the first person camera and it selects, it deselects the first person camera and then it selects the third person camera down here. That should be correct. So if I press V, not working. So let's see why. I switched these up. So this is third, this is first. My bad. And then there we go. Now we can switch between the two. Press V, it shows our third person perspective. Press V again, it shows our first. Yep, that's good. So yeah, our first active camera is our first person, and then it goes to our third, and it goes back to our first. So that's how you switch the camera. That's really nice and simple. Now let's say when I walk in here, when I walk into the box, it will switch from my first person camera when I have my first person perspective camera selected to my third person. Now games like GTA, for example, have this. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Like when you're in the first person's perspective in GTA, you die, it goes into your third person perspective. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking it's GTA. I'm not sure, but some games have that. You might want it, so I'll teach you that real quick. So to do that, you're just gonna simply just copy this code, And then we'll just add it back here. Connect that up. And this time it's gonna be our third person perspective that is selected when we go into our ragdoll. And I don't think we need this. Actually, let's see. I think that works. No. Our active camera is our first person camera. And then this time we want to make our third person camera active when we die. So this should work. There we go. So yeah, I did not press V there. It just automatically switched from I start with my first person camera perspective, and then as soon as I walk into one of these boxes, it switches to our third person and it shows our ragdoll properly. So yeah, and obviously if I go in my third person, it will still just stay in my third person perspective. It won't switch to my first when I die. Oh, I stand incorrected. Why is it doing that? I'm in here. Is active. Is that the problem? No, that's definitely not. Well, maybe you do want that. Let's. I don't think you'd want that though. Yeah, and you're in your third. It switches to your first. Strange. What happens when I do that? Let's see. Alright. I'm in my third. Okay. I mean, that's kind of working. There we go. So yeah. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's working, right? So yeah, you have to select both. The third, wait, do we even need, wait a minute. I'm not sure we need this. Pretty sure I could just do that in this case. Yeah. Yeah, you don't even need that line code. So all you need is this. So yeah, when we die, it goes to our ragdoll, it shows our mesh with physics enabled. And then it switches from our first person camera to our third person camera, always, even if I'm in the third or first person camera. So that's how you do that. Yeah, that was a pretty quick tutorial on how to do that. Just for a little like funsies, let's say we want to, since we're still doing like this isn't really part of the widget tutorial now, I guess, even though I'm still going to be titling it as that, I guess, kind of. But to make it truly part of the widget tutorial, let's do some extra widget stuff. Let's say we want to switch our cursor to a custom cursor image. Obviously, you guys probably could figure that out. All you need to know is just that you make your widget, and then you go to your project settings. You go to user interface, which is down here under engine, and then you go to software cursors. You add one. You make sure this is the default cursor type. Then you go and select your widget. So really quickly, so we go to our UI folder, and then we go to the user interface, widget blueprint, user widget, and I'll just say cursor. That's how you spell cursor, I think. Cursor. Oh, it's an OR. I was right. Okay. Yes, I know how to spell. Let's go, baby. As usual, add a canvas panel. As usual, add an image. I would make it a very small image because the cursor is very small. So maybe like 35 by 35. We'll anchor it to the middle. Okay, actually, don't do that. We're gonna say full screen and then desired on screen, and then anchor to middle. Now I need a cursor image. So I have one from a game I made. You can make yours. You can make your own. It's pretty easy. I could send this in the comments. I mean, in the description. Maybe. Actually, no. I have one I never used before. I could just use this really crappy one I never used. Yes, I still haven't. I never used this one. So I'll go to. I mean, technically, you can put it underneath the sprites folder. Technically. Alright. Apply settings. And then just click on that. And there you go. Make sure you have it selected so in the content drawer before you press the arrow. And yeah. I'm going to move this down because the selection is in the middle of the screen. So that should be working. I'll just move it down like that. There we go. And then now, what the heck? Okay, now when we press play, and we press P. Wait a minute. Press P. Pause menu is not working. Oh yeah, it's only do that in the first person. I mean, sorry, in the 2D game. Huh. Wait a minute. So if I die, it shows it. Correct. It's not showing it. Oh, I'm stupid. I didn't actually select it in the product settings. Yeah, go to engine, user interface, none to cursor widget. And now it should work. Yeah, there we go. I saw it for a second. It's a little big. It's really big. But yeah, you can see as soon as I hover over the button, it's when it shows it. So yeah, make sure that your cursor is in the middle of the canvas panel. I'm going to make this a bit smaller though. Let's say 25 by 25. Then let's move it over one. Let's see if that's better. I love that fart sound effect. It's just too good. Yeah, that's good enough. You guys get the point. Yeah, that's how you make a cursor, custom cursor, and add it to the project settings. I think that could be it. We'll see if I make a part 4. There's plenty more to cover, so I probably will actually. There's so much to widgets, which is very fun once you get into it and get good at it. So yeah, that's the end of the video. See you guys in the next video.